I said this was a lights out. It was the old Southern thing, Brian, and the lights out match. And everybody always said, well, what the fuck does that mean? Because legitimately and I believe they were started in Florida by Eddie Graham to lend credibility to the fact that this was a non-sanctioned grudge match between two guys. The promotion was not responsible. The NWA was not responsible if anybody got hurt. They would actually dim the lights in the arena. They'd turn the ring lights out to signify that the regular event was over with. And then they'd bring them back up, and now it's time for the lights out match to start. It was a cool way to promote a showdown between two guys that was going to be so bad that even the promoters, nobody wanted anything to do with it, right? And then it got, like everything else, prostituted, and nobody understood the fucking thing. And now people say, what was a lights out match? But I used to like the way that Nick Gulish used to, when he did his own interviews, his own local promos, if fans is going to be extra added lights out match, the fans can stay or leave. Like, we don't even care if you stay and watch this. Right? The fans can stay or leave. It was so fucking Nickish, right? It was very Gulish-ish. But that is, at this point, just for a minute, I'm talking to all of the members of the Cult of Cornette, the listeners of the Experience, all of our fans, etc., the YouTube channel, the whole 9 yards, outside the perimeter of the United States of America. The other fans can stay or leave if they want, because so many people have emailed me or tweeted me over the past few weeks when all this other stuff has gone on that has distracted our attention. The question is always in some various form. So let us get this fucking straight. You Americans are allowed to own, carry around in public in many cases, and otherwise utilize any and all guns, any number, any size, any amount, any caliber, any capability, guns and handheld weaponry that you want anywhere, but none of you just automatically get health care because you're a citizen. And none of them understand that. And they ask me to explain that. And I would like to explain that right now to our international followers, ladies and gentlemen, is because the United States is a country with a lot of stupid fucking people in it. And everybody has been one ever since the shooting in Las Vegas happened. A lot of people have been asking for me to rant, rave, cut a promo on it, etc., and get mad. And I'm not going to go into great, horrible length. And I'm not going to get really mad because what's the fucking point of me almost having a stroke about it when nobody else is going to do anything? Here's the fucking point, ladies and gentlemen, from around the world. Yes, you are correct. We don't get health care. I have mentioned last week on a program or whenever, I have been, for me and Stacy, paying $12,000 a year for insurance that will cover part of my medical expenses, but now they've discontinued that policy, and I'm going to have to start from scratch by finding a new one that'll probably cost me more. But for whatever reason, it not only, and we understand from the people who would support Donald Trump, you'll fall for anything. And that's standing at about 35% now. So you can look at it one way. You can look at it like 65% of the people in the country have seen through Donald Trump, or you can look at it like 3.5 out of 10 motherfuckers walking around on the street still don't realize that a mentally unstable, narcissistic real estate fraud is in charge of our country. You can look at it like that. And a lot of those people are the gun people. There's also a statistic that 3% of the gun owners in the United States own 50% of the guns, which to me is a good indicator right there of the 3% of the people in this country that shouldn't be allowed to have any fucking guns. But not only do the Trumpers and the people that you would think would support this kind of thing, despite the fact that people get gunned down in the streets and elementary school children are slaughtered with semi-automatic weapons, and this guy, was in a goddamn major hotel in a major American city and somehow managed to get the goddamn arsenal of fucking Hogan's Heroes up to his room, apparently by himself without getting noticed, etc. You have a lot of the Trumpers, but you also have a lot of the people that have fallen for the American patriotism thing. It's our Constitution. It's our God-given right of freedom or whatever. it is somehow mostly by right-wing people been made cool in this country for people to think or to be led to believe that if they have a gun, they can not only protect themselves and their families, but also that the Constitution, our founding fathers promised them that they could have guns in case they think the government is to get out of hand and try to infringe on their rights, they will be able to defend themselves. This is what some of these people think, international ladies and gentlemen. Billy Bob in Montana and his group of guys that meets down at the Elks Hall think that if they have these shotguns and rifles and hand grenades, whatever the fuck else they've got, that if the government gets too uppity, and that's why gun sales soared, by the way, under the Barack Obama presidential administration in the United States, because people thought the black guy was going to take everybody's guns away. And even he couldn't. He actually spoke to us like a leader, not a fucking ignorant buffoon reading words badly that somebody else wrote on teleprompter, but he spoke to us like a leader and said, I cannot do this. You have to do this yourself as a people. You have to vote this into existence, and nobody will do anything because the NRA, and they spend tens of millions of dollars a year in the government to make sure that this shit gets fucking quashed. And because the gun owners, Obama was the best thing that ever happened to the gun manufacturers, as I just mentioned. Their stock boomed under President Obama. But these people foster the thought in some of these gullible people's minds that you got to protect yourself against the government. Well, I got news for you, fucking Gomer. If the government wants to take your guns at any point in time, and they should, they should, for the majority of people, the majority of the guns, they should. If they want to take them, if they actually want to do something about this, you're going to do it with a smile on your face, Gomer. Ernest T. Bass, you're going to do it with a smile on your face, or a fucking unmanned drone is going to fucking smite you and your goddamn neighborhood. So you're not going to fuck with the government. You're a goddamn delusional lunatic if you think that you're going to keep your gun to fuck with the government. So right there was one of the arguments. You've heard that argument, Brian, have you not, from people? I'm not making this up.
I've heard that argument.
Okay. And there's another argument. Crooks, if you make guns illegal, the gun laws won't stop guns. Crooks will always have guns because they don't obey laws. Well, in that case, okay, then every drug should be illegal. And every theft should be illegal. People are going to steal shit anyway. But since there's laws against it, it makes it harder for them to get away with it and makes them think twice about doing something. It does something, ladies and gentlemen. When you make a law against something, it does do something to prevent the problem. Lawn darts got made illegal because 3 kids stabbed each other in the fucking nose or whatever. Try to get into a goddamn bottle of Tylenol or any kind of pills these days because one guy fucking poisoned the pills, but you can just gun people down in the streets. Anyway, so need them to fire up against the government. That's one excuse. Crooks will always get guns. So just don't do anything. That's fucking equally fucking stupid. And these people are delusional and should be bashed in the head with a fucking rock until their brains look like Concord grape jelly. There's people that say, well, shouldn't we ban knives and trucks and fertilizer, whatever One idiot actually said fast food kills X amount of people per year in the United States of America. Should we ban Big Macs? Yeah, if they can figure out a way to fucking light the Big Mac on fire and lob it into a crowd, a fucking 500 a second, where it fucking kills you on contact, yes, ban the fucking Big Mac, you dumb shit. You just really dumb fucking person. If alcohol kills so and so, well, number one, if you take out the people that it pickles their own goddamn liver, and I think you should in relate to guns because nobody is forcing you to drink anything. And then you go with the fucking alcohol-related traffic deaths, which we have made strict laws against. Has it ever been harder in this country to drink and drive, Brian Last?
No.
No, because people were getting killed. So even now drinking and driving but they say, should we ban alcohol? Once again, If they turned the bottle of vodka into a Molotov cocktail by setting it on fire and lobbing it at a crowd of people enough, then we ought to have that fun conversation. But it's not the same thing. You dumb, stupid, ignorant, delusional, living in fucking unreal world people. They say, well, Chicago has some of the strictest gun laws in the nation, and they don't work. No, because the state next door, Hammond, Indiana, that's a 15-minute fucking drive from some of the worst neighborhoods of fucking Chicago, Illinois, doesn't have the same fucking laws. You dumb, stupid fucking people. What about the hunters? Well, I've mentioned how repugnant I think the whole idea is that if you shoot an animal that is not actively attacking you, there's something wrong with you as a human being. But do the rights of the hunter or the target shooters? Once again, this is why we can't have nice things. Do the rights of people who want to go out in the woods and shoot animals or target shoot at a fucking target range preclude the notion that civilians should not have weapons of war and semi-automatic rifles and et cetera, that only are used by the military and law enforcement, and even then not in some cases, just because somebody wants to go shoot fucking rabbits. That's not a good argument to me. 80% of the guns in the United States of America that are used in mass shootings are obtained legally because, as we've mentioned, you can go to a flea market or a car boot sale, as they say across the pond, and you can buy guns from people that you have never met before, along with an unlimited amount of ammunition. And if there's a police officer on site and you're struggling, he will probably volunteer to help carry your purchases to your car. Whereupon, if he opens your trunk and sees a fucking small bag of weed, you might go to jail for 5 years in this fucking country because we have a bunch of stupid people running it. Abortion laws, they think abortion laws will stop abortion, right? Why wouldn't gun laws stop gun foolishness? But as several people, including Maud Findley of Florida, tweeted and retweeted, why don't they make it as hard to get a gun as they do to make it to get an abortion? Only have one place in the whole state that provides the guns. So you have to travel far away, take time off of work, spend money, be harassed by people on the way in and out, be subjected to a bunch of archaic fucking rules and regulations in a sad and fucking vulnerable point in your life to make you even more miserable before you get the gun. It's because the women ain't selling the guns. It's a bunch of fucking guys that think that they're big, large penises. There have been 1,396,733 United States citizens killed in all the wars that the United States has been in since 1776. There have been more people killed by guns in this country since 1968, by almost 150,000 by my math there, 120. Wow. Who's counting? The Constitution, everybody but the Constitution. Okay, it's not as bad as the Bible. It does not contain as much science fiction as the Bible because the Bible was written 2,000 years ago and the Constitution was written a modern 250 years ago. When, as we know, musketry was the weaponry of the day. But our country is still working off of a literal interpretation of a document written 250 years ago. What if we ran NASA like that? What if we ran medical schools like that? What if we ran media and communications or transportation like that? What if we ran our courtrooms like that? They didn't know. Some of the sexual perversion of today was not even available back then, so they wouldn't have made it illegal. So you could get away with fucking buggering sheep on the street in fucking Bristol. Why, instead of the people who have a vested interest in not changing any of this shit because it makes them a lot of money somehow or makes them feel like big people, have conned the average American fucking goof, who, as I remember, we quantified that at 3.5 out of 10 is an average American goof, into believing that they have some kind of frontier Daniel Boone fucking right to this shit, because it says that we should have kept a well-regulated militia and have the free right to bear arms. A militia. You know why we needed a militia? Because we weren't a country yet and didn't have a fucking army. Therefore, yes, you had to go holler, hey, boys, hey, Rube, here's some guns. We got to go fight the British. We don't have to do that anymore. And we got a lot of fucking more mental cases running around, and we got a lot more firepower. Would the founding fathers have written this sentence? Every citizen of the United States of America has the right to own and carry the most powerful handheld weapons of war ever created. I don't think they would have written that. So once again, you need to take the Constitution, and once that the current administration is out of office and the Democrats are running things again, we actually might be able to get something done and have intelligent people on the case. Somebody needs to lead the charge to take the Constitution and say, okay, there's a lot of good shit in here, so let's go through this and apply it to real fucking life. And since several of the amendments that have been made by us and our forebears contradict each other, such as alcohol's legal, then it's illegal, then it's legal again, we could just actually clean all that shit up and it wouldn't be so long and hard to understand. And we could apply common sense regulations regarding the fucking weapons that we have figured out how to make that destroy each other in the hands of goddamn goofs, and not romanticize it. And while we're at it, we could clarify all the relation, all the rights issues as relates to races that is very muddy and has been fucking chopped up a number of times. Let's just straighten all this shit out and start from scratch and keep more of the good stuff and not do so much of the bad stuff with the Constitution, and make a new Constitution reflecting the ideals, but with a goddamn grasp of the obvious. But you know why we don't do that? Because I believe I mentioned at the top of the segment, the United States is a country with a lot of stupid fucking people in it. So that, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages from around the world who keep wondering, what the fuck is the matter with you people? That's what the fuck's the matter with us. A few people are making a lot of money, keeping a lot of people thinking that this is the right thing that should be done, and they're falling for it. And if people say it's a partisan, well, they make it a partisan issue because usually if somebody wants to restrict any gun right, it's a Democrat. And if somebody wants to loosen any restriction, it's a Republican. So naturally you would see why I tend to lean along those directions of thinking who's on whose side. If somebody was willing to prove me wrong, I would. But in the meantime, as far as I'm concerned, the fucking Republicans are the ones that are stopping any of this shit, which has goddamn been noted time and time again. They will not do a goddamn thing about it. Even when their own people get shot. I wonder how much fucking, what was his name, Scalise? Wonder how much somebody had to give him under the table. He got shot himself and came out and said, well, gun regulation wouldn't do anything to, oh, motherfucker. You fucking moron. But anyway, so if you know, maybe it's a tourism thing. Maybe if the whole world said, hey, we ain't going to come to the United States unless you promise us we won't get shot, or that you'll pay for it if we do get shot, because they already were setting up GoFundMes and fundraisers and et cetera for the people that got shot, right? Because their bills are going to be enormous. Or as somebody had the thought that if every adult black male in America who's legally able to suddenly went out and purchased a gun, we would have legislation in about 2 weeks. And I believe that may work. I'm not sure. But basically, folks, they're not going to do anything because they never do anything because they're fucking gutless pricks in Washington. Anybody who won't do it, Democrat or Republican, who won't do anything about it. It's fucking stupid, but nobody wants to not get elected by the goddamn hayseeds and fucking rubes that have the power to vote, that think that they're in a goddamn remake of the Alamo with John Wayne, and that it's somehow that this right cannot be impinged on. I think we ought to do a lot more impinging because they've proven this is why we can't have nice things.